Good evening viewers and welcome to a Mr. Moyle Reviews video. This evening we are reviewing a video by YouTube user WildNorWester. The video in question being called Fallen Flag and is a 15th anniversary special since the first episode of Sodor the Early Years was released. For a YouTuber who started in February 2011, he now has over 23,000 subscribers. His first video was launched 2 days later on February the 5th, as his channel was launched on the 3rd of February, and now his first video of Sodor the Early Years has an amazing 128,000 views. So obviously not much else for me to say, but let's begin in review. Now, before we do begin, obviously, I should mention that this is a very dangerous video that you're about to watch, but it's okay, as I have got the recommended first aid kit, a bottle of Bailey's. So, pretty much have said that. I've got my drink ready, so let's crack on with it. Into full screen. Okay, and here we go. Now, just before, obviously, we do continue further, that music that you just heard in the intro is, of course, from the Railway series books and can actually be found in some videos on YouTube by user New Controller 01. Just thought I'd mention that, obviously. And so let's continue.
One evening in 1973, Duck returned to the shed after his last train of the day. As he stopped, he was surprised to see the Fat Controller waiting for him.
Oh, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Duck. I've got a slightly unusual job for
Let's
you.
change the model.
What would that be, sir?
I've received a call from the Didcot Railway Centre in Oxfordshire. They'd like to borrow you for a week or so.
Borrow me, sir?
That's right. They bought one of your brothers, number 3650, 3 years ago. They're restoring him, but need to raise funds.
Oh, well, if that's what they want my help with, I'm happy to go, sir.
Very well. I'll call Didcot and let them know you'll be there tomorrow. With that, the Fat Controller left.
Will you three be alright to run the line without me? I mean, you'll be having extra trains on top of your own.
Dinna fass yourself, Duck. We know you like to run this line to a high standard, and we'll keep things running smoothly.
Well, that's how we did it on the Great Western. And there's only 2 ways of doing things, you know.
The Great Western way or the wrong way, we know. We'll be fine, Duck. Just go after Mora.
There's only 2 ways of doing things, the Great Western way or the wrong way. I'm Great Western, and of course in the words of Ed and Sid, shut the up. In case you also missed it just before, the pannier tank in question was number 3650.
Enjoy your wee holiday.
I will. Thank you, Donald.
The next morning, Duck departed for Didcot, leaving Oliver and the Scottish twins behind to run his branch. Things did run smoothly for about half a day. Around lunchtime, Donald was shunting at Arlesdale when Bert arrived.
Bert, you know going a wee bit fast there?
I can't stop!
Bert's driver jumped clear.
Bert, are you alright?
I think so, but I'm not sure about my tender.
Bert's driver raised the alarm, and Frank soon arrived with some workmen. The little diesel was not happy.
Well, you've made a proper mess of the yard.
It wasn't intentional.
Doesn't matter. We're still gonna...
Yep, back to being a Matt over umpy old sod. His attitudes changed in the Modern Years series, but of course, as described in the books, he was grumpy. And of course, that's shown here right now.
Have to clean all this up.
That'll do, Frank. Please shunt your trucks and start clearing this up.
With what, sir? Bert's managed to jam the turntable. I need it to get the crane out.
I see. It's a bit of a catch-22.
I don't recall that operating rule, sir.
It's not an... Oh, never mind.
Excuse me, Mr. Duncan. Nigel was in his shed down at Tidmouth Hall when I passed there earlier. He can be up here with his crane within the hour.
Thank you, Donald. Do excuse me. I need to make a phone call.
Nigel soon arrived and set to work. Once the turntable was clear, Frank and the other Arlesdale engines were able to help out. They soon had Bert back on the rails, and he was shunted into their workshop for repairs. But even with the big and small engines working together, it took most of the day for the track to be cleared. Early the next morning, Rocco made a special delivery, bringing some rails and spare parts up to Arlesborough. Some of the damaged rails had already been removed, and the Metrovic took them away to Croc's scrapyard. With the damaged rails replaced, the trucks that were stuck outside the yard could be brought in and unloaded. This backlog meant there was extra work for the big engines, so the Fat Controller sent Bear to help out. The next afternoon, the Hymek was getting a goods train ready when he spotted Bert in the workshop.
But, pardon my saying so, but I thought there was a bit more of you this morning.
There was. I'm going to need a new tender, so Mr. Duncan decided to give me a bigger one with a new cab to...
This, of course, explains why he has his newer shape in Sodor the Modern Years. Yet by coincidence, of course, as we can see, Jock is being built here in this film. But of course, in the Railway series books, by the time Jock is completed, Bert is still in his original shape. But obviously, that's not the case here. Though, of course, it is WildNorWester's universe.
match.
I see. Your workmen must be fast. They finished the tender already.
No, that's not mine. It's built for another engine. They've said I can use it while mine's being built, but I'm not so sure.
I don't think Rex or Mike would object to you borrowing their new tender. Not if it means you can get back up on the rails sooner.
It's not theirs. It's too wide. Point is, it's not mine. It would be mismatched. Too different.
You mean like me?
I beg your pardon? But you're diesel, aren't you?
I'm from the western region of the other railway. Most of us diesels there were diesel hydraulic, not diesel electric like in the other regions. We've got a way of doing things our own way there.
More than just different types of diesels.
Yes. Back in the days of steam engines, they ran their expresses with 10-wheeler engines, instead of the Pacific types like Golden.
And of course, the reason for them being withdrawn, the hydraulic locos, is because they were just not standard. They were substandard locos. And the Westerns, they were withdrawn. The last final 5, I believe, were 1977. Unsure when the Hymeks were withdrawn completely, or the warships. Do feel free to leave a comment about that in the comments box, provided YouTube don't set this video as made for kids.
Back further, they originally started with a 7-foot track gauge.
7-foot wide tracks? Why?
Their chief engineer back then, Mr. Brunel, thought it would be more stable.
But that didn't last, did it? It's all standardized now. At least that's what Oliver says.
He's right. But the surveying done for such broad tracks meant the line had smooth gradients and gentle curves. And diesel hydraulic engines like me are still used in Germany and other countries.
But what's that got to do with this tender?
Well, there's no harm in trying something new and being different. Even if it's only for a while, something good might come out of it. I imagine this new tender will need to be tested and run in.
I see what you mean. Thank you, Bear. That's given me a bit to think about.
Glad I could help.
Over the next few days, the engines worked hard. They soon had the backlog cleared, and Bear returned to the main line.
Using a borrowed tender, obviously, provided... basically, if a loco hasn't got a tender... No, actually, I need to think of words that I'm going to put this. Like they've done with Betton Grange, obviously, they wanted to focus on getting that ready before they finished off the tender. With Bert here, obviously, it'd be ideal for him to run with this borrowed tender, otherwise he'd just be stuck in the works until, well, his new one's been finished. Well, let's just continue.
A few days later, Donald was taking on coal when a familiar whistle drifted through the air.
Hello, Duck. Good to see you again. How did things go at Didcot?
Oh, it was, alright.
What's up, Duck? You seem a wee bit upset.
It's nothing.
Duck said. He headed off before Donald could reply. But as he watched the pannier tank chuff away, Donald couldn't help thinking Duck was far from alright. Later that afternoon, Oliver was waiting to depart Holtrose Station. He couldn't leave until Duck arrived and cleared the single track section. He couldn't help worrying either. Duck should have arrived by now, but instead, the station master strode out onto the platform.
You're clear to depart.
Thank you. What happened to Duck?
Nothing. He's just running a bit late. He'll meet you at the next station down.
That only increased Oliver's concern. It wasn't like Duck to be late. In fact, the other Great Western engine had told him off for that very offence when he'd first arrived on Sodor. Oliver was still worried when he reached Callan Station.
Duck, are you alright?
I suppose so, Oliver.
We've all been worried about you. You've not been yourself since you got back. Someone asked you about that incident at Paddington Station in 41.
What? You know about that? But the news of it was censored, due to the war and all.
In the press, maybe, but word travels. I doubt you'd find any Great Western engine that doesn't know about the courage you showed that day.
Well, it's nothing to do with that, Oliver, but thank you for asking.
Yep, there's more soup. No, wait.
That evening, Donald returned to the sheds.
What happened to you at Didcot, Duck?
Nothing.
Didn't give me that. You've barely said a word since you got back. I mean, you didn't even say hello when Rex whistled to you this afternoon. There's obviously something bothering you. And we didn't like seeing you like this. Neither does Oliver. Now, would you mind telling us what's going on?
Nothing happened at Didcot. I ran trains along both of the short standard gauge lines coming out of the station there. But that's all that's left of the Great Western Railway now.
The twins exchanged a look, realising where this was going.
Well, this was the very early days of railway preservation. Even though I've not yet visited Didcot, although a couple of months back I did pass by the Didcot Railway Centre on board a rail tour with Clun Castle, I actually would like to visit there because they have got a good collection of steam locomotives there, as well as infrastructure. You name it, including the coaches, Cookham, and of course steam locos like Cookham Manor, Hinderton Hall, the new build Lady of Legend, well, basically a hall turned into a saint, and then of course we've got the county project. So basically Didcot is the place to visit. It may not have been as good in the early preservation era, but now, I'm told obviously it is a fantastic site to visit.
Even after nationalisation, when it became the western region of the other railway, that Great Western character was still there. We still had castles and halls running, just in different paint. It's the Great Western work ethic, the independent streak, the spirit we engines shared was still there.
That streak was still there when the diesels came in. We had diesel hydraulic engines like Bear running on the western region, when the rest of the other railway built diesel electrics.
That's true. But you saw what diesels were like back then. All revolutionary and self-important. They wouldn't have tried to understand.
Duck, you've no seen Bert since you've returned, have you?
Not yet, Douglas, but I heard he had an accident.
Aye, you could say he had a bit of a tender issue afterwards. I think you should ask him about it.
If you say so, Douglas.
I do say so. I think you'll find it helpful.
Duck didn't reply. Instead, he headed off to take the evening mail train. Early the next morning, Bert steamed out of the Arlesdale Railway workshop, his rebuild complete. Following his conversation with Bear, he had decided to borrow the yellow tender until his own was ready. He had just reached the water tower when the small controller spoke up.
Bert, I'm going to need your help. Sigrid's broken down with the service train up at Farquhar Road. Rex and Mike are still getting steam up. Could you please rescue her?
Of course, sir.
Bert replied. He quickly turned and steamed off. It wouldn't do to keep Sigrid and her passengers waiting any longer. Bert soon reached Sigrid and ran around her train.
Thank you, Bert.
Happy to help, Siggy. Right.
I think I took on some bad fuel. My pumps feel a little buggy.
Lucky. If you say so.
After completing Sigrid's run, Bert helped her back to Arlesborough.
Thank you again, Bert. I do appreciate the rescue.
I'm glad I was able to help. To be honest, I wasn't sure about using this new tender. Turns out Bear was right. The Western Region Way was what I needed.
Western Region Way? What exactly did Bear tell you, Bert?
Bert recounted the conversation he'd had with Bear several days ago.
He really said all that?
I think that was most of it.
All the way back to Brunel. Thank you, Bert.
He obviously called it Brunel, or Brunel, but of course it's pronounced Brunel, of course. Not obviously trying to cause any trouble or anything, but of course his surname is basically, his surname is Brunel. Isambard Kingdom Brunel.
That's given me a bit to think about.
With that, Duck left. To the relief of the other engines, his mood seemed to improve over the rest of the day. A little while later, Duck brought a goods train into Knapford Harbour. He'd swapped schedules with Donald in order to do so. As the Great Western engine had hoped, Bear was waiting with some trucks.
Morning, Bear. Just wanted to say thank you for helping out on my branch line while I was away.
Oh, I'm happy to help out.
By the way, Bert told me what you said to him too. May I ask you something?
Of course.
Is that all that the Western Region Way means to you? Just being a bit different?
Well, it's about doing things the right way, too. Safely but efficiently. We picked it up from the steamers who were there at the time.
You picked it up from the steam engines who were there at the time? Really?
Oh yes, and our controllers commended us for it several times. We made sure to pass it on to the diesel electrics, too, even when we were being withdrawn.
The right way to approach things.
Yes, more or less. We used to say there were only two approaches to work. The Western Region Way.
Or the wrong way.
Yes.
Before Duck could reply, Bear had to leave. Duck watched him go, smiling. He had never been so relieved to be wrong.
A real blow that the hydraulics were withdrawn.
Even though the Great Western Railway had gone, it seemed its ideals lived on in one form or another. That was some comfort, at least.
Yeah, so really, not a bad video. WildNorWester has done a really good job with this. And obviously, there are many more videos to look at, including the other mini-series. I, of course, voice the character Peter. I very recently took over as the voice actor for Peter Sam, and of course I voice two other minor characters in other mini-series. And of course, I am going to be voicing Peter again in the next upcoming series. Was supposed to be another mini-series, but of course that idea has been dropped. Real shame, really. But I will do a review of the mini-seasons over time, of course. So really, there's not much else for me to say, but WildNorWester, if you are watching this, keep up the good work, and we look forward to seeing what else you've got planned for everyone in the future. So really, all that remains for me to say is to the viewers who was in England, we say goodbye. In Germany, it's Auf Wiedersehen. Italy, arrivederci, and in France, we surrender. Thanks pretty much for watching, viewers, and, well, see you in another video in the future. Take care. Goodbye.